Genshin queer coding, Genshin queer coding, Genshin queer coding! Oh, fuck. Hello, my rats. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to it. My name is E, as in like, everyone, hit the deck. We are talking about gay Genshin people again. Oh no. That is right. I am back with the third and final installment of Genshin Impact's queer coding, where I bring up a bunch of evidence that some of these characters are being purposely coded in a way to be queer. Why gay representation is important, as well as why it is especially important coming from a game like Genshin Impact, will be talked about and explored, as well as some validity behind some of your favorite ships. You need not watch the first two before this one, but of course you should watch them because hey, they're really good, but also because they add a lot to the conversation. I will be referencing them when needed and also be adding on to what they talked about. As always, before we hop right in, please make sure to like and subscribe so I don't appear behind you in the mirror and talk about gay people at 3 a.m. Hi! Also, follow us over on twitch.tv/eissocial for a good time. And without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Also, hey, 1 second. We got merch, hey! Over on Twitch, you guys are called the Rats in the Rat Sewer, so you guys are also called the Rat Sewer too. Sorry to break it to you, but that's just the reality you're living in. So if you want to show off your rat pride and show that you are a member of the Rat Sewer proudly, then go click on my YouTube shelf below the video, and also there's a link in my description. All money made goes towards the channel to make this even better and gayer than ever, and also to support our amazing artists, the Stone Pilots, who made the design. Okay, with that done, back to the video. Okay, so y'all know the gig. You guys might know that I usually start off these slay videos with a quick history lesson of queer rights and queer representation in history, what queer coding means, and explain any other terms I will be using in this video. I did this to prove to naysayers that having a game as big as Genshin Impact, and with its position with censorship and its global reach, that having queer coded characters is actually super important. I got some comments saying, representation isn't important to me, or why is it a big deal if a character is gay or not? And I took time out of both videos to prove the point of how it is important to a lot of people, me included. So before we get into more cases of queer coding with our favorite ships / characters, let's reiterate some points in those past videos. Okay, so I have to say this to make sure we are on the same page. Queer coding, what is it? Queer coding is the act of using subtle signifiers to convey to an audience that a character is queer. This can be through cultural symbols, positioning characters into situations that could be read as queer, like parental situations, for example, color symbolism, how the character interacts with others, and many, many other ways. This usually happens because the culture or time that the media exists in censors or doesn't allow queer people to be portrayed. Again, I'm making this point because of how huge and important it is. Hoyoverse is not allowed to showcase queer characters, with this leaked Beijing Game Conference document stating that any queer relationships should be only stated as best friends. They cannot exist in any other form. Hoyoverse has a past of canonizing queer couples in their other games and continues to queer code on the DL. For my analysis of Kaveh Alhaitham, Beidou Ningguang, A and Yaimiko, Changyun Xingqiu, Sino Antignity, and Jean Lisa, and my take on the Traveler and other characters who are sus like Ayaka, Lyney, and Jet, and some others, again, we talk about them in those videos. Queer history in China goes back centuries. Queer marriage rights were just granted not even 10 years ago in the US, and queer people are fighting every day in China and around the world to be heard. We come in so many shapes and sizes, identities, and names, and this video series is to celebrate that in my favorite video game on the planet. This video series isn't meant to state how one ship is more valid than another. At the end of the day, I want these videos to go past shipping wars. I want this to be a hoot and a holler, a joyous huzzah for queer representation. And hold on, stay with me. Before we get into some ships and some characters, I want to circle back to something that I mentioned earlier. So I get the comment comment a lot where people say, why is it a big deal if a character is queer? Well, to be honest, it just shouldn't be, like, at all. I really shouldn't be sitting here with my 15-page documents analyzing the symbolism and breadcrumbs left behind to be like, hey, queer people are existing in this game, we did it, boys. I honestly shouldn't have to do this. But given the history of persecution, of censorship, of violence and homophobia, to have queer representation, good queer rep, is so important. As actionforchildren.org.uk, not the full URL government name, girl, they state, quote, inclusive storytelling in children's media can have a huge impact. It's undeniable that, like adults, children and young people are influenced by what's around them. They're impressionable. At a time when they are exploring who they are and where they fit in society, they'll use the examples and stories presented to them to inform their own perspectives. Seeing characters that look like them or have had similar experiences can help them develop a sense of identity and self-worth. It could also have an impact on their self-esteem, as well as help with feelings of loneliness or isolation. Huge chunk of a quote, I know, but I just couldn't have said it better myself. I argue that the most blatantly queer-coded ships like Miko and Kavehtham are so wonderful because, yeah, Alhaitham, for example, is just some guy who works in the government and doesn't want to work overtime more than he has to, just wants to make his money and go home to his roommate, not roommate, ex-friend, soon boyfriend, husband, wife dude, okay? And they're roommates. Move along now. The story is progressing. These characters are just that, characters. They have ambitions, wants, dreams, dislikes, fears, and history. They aren't just what flavor of gay are you? And with the impact, pun very much intended, that Genshin has and how many people interact with it, showcasing queerness in this natural way is amazing. And before anyone gets crazy, here are some other modern day popular and commercially very successful video games that have great queer representation and are still a massive success. Undertale, Hades, The Outer Worlds, Overwatch, and the 2023 winner of the Game of the Year Awards, Baldur's Gate 3, with a very queer cast, a pansexual vampire, and the opportunity to romance anyone, and you can go as a they-them character. Can we get a round of applause for Baldur's Gate 3? Yay! I love it a lot. This is my character. We literally look alike right now. Mental illness. There are, of course, more examples, but honestly, not a whole ton more. I'll be real. More games should have gay representation. So this act that I'm doing is, again, a valid one. I needed to get this off my chest before wrapping up this gorgeous, gorgeous series. So with that being said, it's time to talk about some of your favorite ships and other things that happen in this game. No, not Miko. We already talked about those two. If you are walking around Inazuma, you may notice a lovely lass standing by herself looking at some dead remains, you know, as you do. If you talk to her, she tells you how these bones belong to her sea creature bestie she had as a kid. This is Kumi. She's a tad strange and said that her only friend was the sea creature and now she's all alone now that she is dead. It's a little, satisfying. But anyways, we agree to help her with a little burial ceremony, and she asks us to help out this Sumeru researcher she met a little while ago who hasn't been back to talk to Kumi in a while. We find this woman who is in the middle of almost dying and save her. This is Anissa. She is also a tad strange. Anyways, we bring Anissa back to Kumi, and girl, sparks fly! Kumi says several times how much she likes hearing Anissa's voice explain things, and Anissa kept giggling. Anissa knew a lot about marine life biology, so she helped explain to Kumi that her friend actually had a great life and had several children. Kumi got a sense of closure with this part of her life and felt happiness for her childhood friend. Anissa then awkwardly asks if it would be okay if she stayed with Kumi while she researched the children that her sea creature friend had. And now they're roommates. Okay, so they are lesbians, but to prove it more, let's break down exactly why I say this. The complimenting of voices is such an intimate compliment to give someone, and it's given more than once. There are several times in the dialogue where Traveler and Paimon point out how they feel like they are intruding on something, or that they feel left out of this whole conversation. There are several instances where this happens, and it's done in a way to point out just how well these two get along. They're in their own world, and we are being cut out of it, and the game makes you notice that several times. And they get along so well that we feel ostracized because of it, and it's awkward. Why is it awkward? Because they're being rainbow emoji right now, okay? And then at the end, they agree to be roommates. I said this in my analysis of Kavehtham, but calling your partner your roommate is like the biggest, most obvious stereotypical code ever. To avoid prosecution in ye olden times, and by ye olden times, I mean like 20 years ago, queer people would just live together as roommates, so to avoid suspicion. The roommate joke is like a meme. It's so obvious at this point, you know? Anyways, this is yet another example of gay people just existing out in the wild, like Ning Guang's attendants and Beidou's one crewmate who's like obsessed with her that I talked more about in the first video. Lesbianism, what a beautiful thing. Okay, so let me be real with you, okay? When this ship dropped, when it debuted, and it was the yaoi ship of the region, and it was Wriothesley and Neuvillette, just two hot guys being shipped with each other, yup, I was a hater. I was a hater for real. I'll admit it. We all have our low points, okay? We all succumb to brainless hate sometimes. I'm no better than anyone. I woke up early that morning like, hey, y'all mind if I hate real fast? So please know that this whole analysis of queer coding is coming from an ex-hater, okay? My words hold weight. Some of these points that I'm about to deliver to you hot and fresh were put together in this gorgeous master doc made by an amazing member of the rat sewer, Kimchi. Woo! Thank you for your very hard work. Wriolette Nation salutes you. And more points I gathered are from the Wriolette wiki, as well as other sources, so shout out to the fandom wiki because they are always killing it anyways. So to begin the Wriolette analysis, let's talk about their designs. There will be a lot of times in this analysis where you will find me saying how one is designed or written to be the exact opposite or in conjunction with the other. This is true also with their designs. So immediately, their color palettes are blue and white against red and black. Blue and red are opposites, not in like the clinical color theory sense, but blue and red are heavily put against the other in popular media. For example, it actually is a common trope stemming from Japan called the red and blue oni. Characters who are red-coded carry a certain personality type that Wriothesley has, and blue-coded characters also have a personality that mirrors Neuvillette. Kimchi made a good point that this red and black versus blue and white color symbolism is represented a lot in the Chinese BL/Danmei scene, with MDZS's Wei Wuxian and Lan Wanji have these color palettes, as well as Hua Cheng and Jie Lian in Heaven's Official Blessing. I'm so sorry if I mess that up. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Returning back to their designs, the way their bangs sweep are in opposing directions, which is a really cute detail. Neuvillette's outfit is very, very symmetrical. Meanwhile, Wriothesley's is very asymmetrical. If you want to be like, hey, what's the evil brother of Neuvillette's outfit? Wriothesley would be a good candidate for that. Though I hesitate to use the brother example because that's not what I mean in that sense. Neuvillette's element is water. Wriothesley's is ice. Wriothesley likes tea, Neuvillette likes water, so on and so forth. They are nice little opposing forces to the other. This kind of dance with a sense of opposition bleeds into their story and characters as well. Neuvillette is the Chief Justice of Fontaine, the head Judge Mod in the Fontaine Discord server, and judges you on your crimes. Wriothesley enforces those decisions that Neuvillette makes. One is law and the other is order, which should have been their ship name, to be completely honest with you. Can we change it from Wriolette to Law and Order? That goes hard as hell. But I digress. Neuvillette oversees the overworld, above ground, while Wriothesley is the king of the underworld, the fortress of Merope. These positions they hold also mirror Persephone and Hades as well, who, in Greek mythology, if you are not aware, are husband and wife. Hades technically stole her, girl, I don't know, it's messy and it's tea. Wriothesley mirrors Hades, with Wriothesley's outfit holding some symbols associated with the god of the underworld Hades, and Wriothesley is literally the lord of the underworld Merope. And with Neuvillette overseeing the top, who, spoilers by the way, just skip forward 30 seconds, just skip forward 30 seconds right now, do it. Go now, okay? Saves Fontaine in the end and turns them into real humans, giving them life, which mirrors Persephone, who is the goddess of spring and nature. So that's a little bit of an allusion to Greek mythology, which I'm obsessed with and I'm always for. Also, personality-wise, Neuvillette is quite unapproachable and intimidating, perhaps even pompous looking when giving him a first glance. He is to be impartial and judge with no reservations, which makes him seem almost heartless. But as we get to know him, he is quite the bleeding heart underneath it all. all. If he gets overly emotional, it may even start to rain in Fontaine. Wriothesley, on the other hand, is pretty charismatic on the outside. I mean, absolutely, his inmates fear him, but they revere him too and adore him. He's very quick-witted, and when we first meet him, I don't know, he gave me the impression of a guy's guy. But there's something crawling underneath. He's calculating, observant, and ruthless when it comes to enacting out his side of order. So they mirror each other in these poetic means, cold on the outside and sweet on the inside, and the reverse for the other. In his More About Wriothesley 5, Wriothesley admits that there are a lot of things out of his reach. A happy childhood, for one, which like, yikes, Jesus Christ, dude. And also the ability to trust someone, which is also Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my God. More About Wriothesley 5, depression and trauma. Okay, anyways, trust is a huge thing for Wriothesley, as I just mentioned, and it's pretty obvious that the two really trust each other. Wriothesley places great trust in Neuvillette. We can see this in action when we first arrive in the fortress, and he gives us an immediate personal tour, knowing that Neuvillette sent us. Neuvillette trusts Wriothesley very much so. He says as much in his story quest where he says, quote, "I place great trust in Wriothesley." So I didn't have to work too hard to put those dots together. Neuvillette lets us know several times how he avoids personal relationships at all costs, but mentions his personal relationship with Wriothesley twice. Here, he says he has a personal relationship with the administrator there, Wriothesley, and here saying, "I mentioned I had personal dealings with the administrator." Okay, yeah. We get it. No personal relationships, my ass. Anyways, all of this could be seen as, well, they've known each other for a long time, so of course they're going to trust each other. I mean, okay, right now, spoilers for Wriothesley's story quest. If you do not want to know about it or get spoiled, skip to this timestamp right here. Do it right now. I'll give you a second. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you know how he like murdered his adoptive parents as a kid? It's so insane that he offed his parents as a child. He should have been at the club. And for this crime, Neuvillette convicted him for it. Wriothesley was a kid at the time, so people don't like that they met when Wriothesley was young and that maybe something romantic happens in the future. Sure, I understand why people don't like that. So this trust and personal relationship could very well be because they've known each other for a while, and Wriothesley is bright and ambitious, who rose to power in a way that Neuvillette just really respects. Sure, I totally get it, of course. But right now, I'm going to get into why I do think they are being purposely written to be two sides of the same coin in a low-key queer way. The design differences is one of the biggest signs to me immediately because they do purposely seem to be juxtaposed with the other. The opposite color thing is also a big deal in my book as well. And the trust thing is also a really important thing as well because it's so essential to Wriothesley, so it's a good thing to note. In Neuvillette's voice line about Wriothesley, you really get the sense of how much Neuvillette cares for the man and cares for how he fares. He mentions how he worked hard to help Wriothesley get the title and reputation he now has, and how much he trusts him. He then states that the traveler may be thinking that Wriothesley's charm may have duped Neuvillette into believing this about the man, but Neuvillette states how much he really knows him. He can see past some of the shrewdness and knows Wriothesley's true self. In Wriothesley's voice line about Neuvillette is where we start cooking, man, okay? In it, he describes a time when he approached Neuvillette's office to discuss some business and saw Neuvillette drenched in rainwater since it was pouring outside. Wriothesley then offers an umbrella, which Neuvillette thanks him for. We know why it was raining. Neuvillette was probably overwhelmed with emotion, so the skies darkened, which is why he looked at Wriothesley in a distressed way. But the whole umbrella thing, girl, when I heard this at first, I was a little pissed, okay? If you know, sharing an umbrella or giving an umbrella while it's raining is like a big trope in manga, K-drama, romance stories. It's like a total eye roller, honestly. It's so prevalent. And when I first heard this voice line, I was still in my hater era and I was like, girl, no. Not the umbrella trope, girl, no. And then, of course, this scene happened.
Sure you don't need a hand?
Quite sure. Wow. Wow. So, what's your secret, huh? Let me guess. Nah, who knows? Maybe it's just your sense of responsibility.
Sounds about right.
Bro, what did you just say?
Wow.
He's gay!
Okay, so I remember my reaction to this. My amazing chat, twitch.tv/EASocial, was like E, Wriolette is real. And I was like, la 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 la, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. And you know what? I don't know why I was hating, to be honest. I didn't really have a reason. I think I was just doing like a 90-day free trial of hating to see how Twitter people feel or how they do it. And to be so honest, I don't know how y'all do this. You guys must be miserable. Anyways, and my amazing Twitch rats were like, see, Wriothesley looks at Neuvillette's ass in this cutscene. And I was like, guys, that's coping and y'all know it. And then I rewatched it. And bro is totally giving the guy a once over. He like totally is. Oh my god, it kind of pissed me off. I'm like, stop. And then he kind of like teases Neuvillette and like insinuates that he knows about Neuvillette's true identity and form, but he like keeps it moving in a totally flirty way. I am so sorry. That was flirty. He was all like, well, what do I know? Ew. If Neuvillette was a woman and Wriothesley said this to her, we'd be like, damn, get a room. I was pissed that it was so flirty. Also, in addition to that crazy scene, they are posed to have a sort of joint parental relationship with the Melusines. Neuvillette cares about the Melusines like they are his own children and wants them to be treated fairly in Fontaine, while Wriothesley has a dad-daughter type gig with Sigewinne. In Neuvillette's voice line about Sigewinne, he explains how protective he is of her, that if he hears even a whiff of her being bullied in the fortress, he will summon Wriothesley and demand an explanation. It's giving old married couple vibes. Posing the two of them as a pair when it comes to taking care of the Melusines mirrors my argument with Sino Nari, or Sino Antignity. By pairing two characters in order to take care of someone vulnerable, it codes those two as parents. Both Neuvillette and Wriothesley had birthday celebrations where the Melusines celebrated the two of them. Wriothesley even had his gear in office covered with stickers that the Melusines put there, which is so freaking adorable but also so parental. So when you notice the sticker put on Wriothesley's gauntlet that was put there by a Melusine, and then remember Neuvillette's very protective nature for the Melusines, just pairs the two really nicely into fatherly figures for the Melusines. Also, in Neuvillette's story quest, Wriothesley invites him to stay in the fortress to have tea. Neuvillette declines, and in Chinese, what he says roughly translates to, I understand the rules. Cause, you know, a judge staying in a prison for too long, girl, do the math, okay? You don't want to be there. Wriothesley responds back with something roughly translated to, seems like it's up to me to break the rules then. Girl, if you two don't stop, I'm uncomfortable. And then this next part is the final straw that made me realize, hey, I have to talk about these homos, all right? They have historical significance in their names. Henry Wriothesley was the third Earl... Henry Wriothesley was the third Earl of Southampton and was a nobleman in the late 14th century to 15th. He had quite the life as a man in power who actually spent some time in jail. Twice. Once for hastily marrying one of the Queen's waiting women, which slay, and the second because of his involvement with the Essex Rebellion. It is rumored that he spent his second time in jail with a certain someone. Fast forward, okay, he gets out of it, almost dies, gets his job back, he's okay, he gets out of the prison. All right, so the name and the theme of prison and imprisonment matches with our Wriothesley and this old dead guy. But the tricky part is where Shakespeare comes in, where Henry Wriothesley was famously known to be a patron to this very famous playwright, and where the poems Venus and Adonis and the R word of Lucrece were dedicated to Henry Wriothesley. Also, y'all, this is a theory, a game theory, but word is on the street that Shakespeare was a bit of a fruitcake. Bro was speculated to be of the bisexual flavor. I don't know if you know this, but you should know that. It's not like super confirmed, but I mean, it's kind of like girl. Anyways, it is theorized that these two poems were actually addressing Henry Wriothesley, with the dedications to the man being especially eyebrow-raising. The first, Venus and Adonis, girl, I read that, and even though I would have to sit down and annotate and get out my AP Lit skills to completely understand what the is being said in that thing, I knew enough to know it gets hot and heavy, okay? I was like, damn. Was this what the 18 plus lemon figs were back then for these geezers? Jesus Christ. Venus, the goddess of love, is trying to get with Adonis, but he's like, we'd rather be hunting right now, I'll be so for real. It's a tragedy of unrequited love, and it's theorized that it was a little homo how Shakespeare dedicated the poems / didn't dedicate them to Wriothesley, etc., etc. Nothing can be proved. I heard different things from different sources. They have been dead for a long time. But why is Shakespeare in it? Well, again, game theory, Matt Pat time, Shakespeare has been wildly rumored to not be a real person, or a pseudonym for a group of writers, or just a completely different dude writing under a different name. One such dude who people think could be Shakespeare is a man named Henry Neville. Do you know who is called Lord Neville in Genshin's Narcissus and Caruse's story note? Yup, Neuvillette girl. Girl, literally. And also, Neville, Neuvillette have similar etymological pasts with their name and what they mean. So they're actually pretty tied, just inherently, Neville and Neuvillette, without Neuvillette actually being referenced as Lord Neville at some point in Genshin. Girl! And it doesn't end there, okay? Remember the dude that was imprisoned with Henry Wriothesley when Henry Wriothesley was in jail? Lord Neville? Yup. It was theorized on the streets that Henry Wriothesley had a little with Shakespeare or / Lord Neville. Girl, that's not a coincidence! Okay, anyways, it doesn't stop there. The two Wriosthleys can even be more connected because Wriothesley's elemental skill includes an excerpt from Shakespeare's Sonnet 1. It is widely theorized again that whenever Shakespeare references the fair youth in his fair youth sonnets, he is referring to Henry Wriothesley. The bi allegations. Shakespeare is never beating them. I'm so sorry, that is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence, that is piping hot tea, girl. Are you kidding? You're gonna look at me and tell me that wasn't done on purpose. Okay. Cause come on. These two men having a sussy relationship in the past, with one of them theorized to have the same name as Neuvillette, and having a Shakespeare poem and Wriothesley's girl, it's getting weird and it's getting serious. Also, these ass birds. Look at these geese. This one is Neuvillette and this one is Wriothesley. Am I wrong? The white goose is the snow-winged goose and it's white and blue, all right? And its description in-game describes it as a symbol of purity and nobility. Neuvillette's whole shtick as the Chief Justice is very noble, so he is nobility. And he's the water guy, which is the purest substance out there. The dark-winged goose, again, black and red, is described as, quote, ill-regarded at their inception, but proved to astonish with the passing of time. May I remind the court that Wriothesley went to jail and then rose to power within it and proved to astonish with the passing of time. And when you put these fuckers in your teapot, Tubby notes how the dark-winged goose is alone a lot due to it just wanting to be alone. See Wriothesley wanting to be left alone all the time and out of the spotlight. And the snow-winged goose is so elegant and peaceful that other animals leave it alone to not disturb its peace. Neuvillette? I'm sorry. Hi, am I hallucinating? Those geese were made to mirror Wriothesley and Neuvillette. And what? They make a heart out of their necks at some point? Right. Yeah. Get out of my face. Get out of my face, dude. It's disrespectful, honestly, at the end of the day. They throw it in there and they think that we're gonna be stupid enough to not pick up on that. Okay. Also, you know what? Just to be honest with everyone at home, Wriothesley, he just kind of gives me gay men vibes. I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry. Is it me? He just has the vibes that he's a boy kisser. And honestly, I've got no literary or historical past evidence to dig up. That's just my opinion. Do with that what you will. But what the fuck do I know, right? I'm just some person on the internet. Gay, I don't know anything. I don't know the man. We're not close like that. Anyways, a lot of coincidences, right? The history portion with Henry Wriothesley and Shakespeare, Lord Neville, and all that tea sealed the deal to me and turned me from a hater to a seer. I don't know about you all, okay? You know what? I'll be a hater until someone brings up old Shakespearean receipts and then I sit down, okay? So, yeah. That's my analysis on the queer coding of these two men. Let me know what you think in the comments. I feel like I'm going crazy. Okay, bye. See you in the next section. See you in the next section. Bye. Okay, so this one's gonna be kind of quick because I don't think I need to make a huge case for this one. Whether they are being purposely implied to be romantic or may have a future wherein romance happens is, well, the jury is still out, but I would be remiss to not talk about them because this one thing that they have is pretty huge. For one, Itto's voice line about Gorou is pretty sus, where he says how the little doggy general makes him feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Even though he barely met the guy, Gorou makes him feel like he understands his innermost feelings and how that's a little bit weird. Maybe I'm like homophobic or something. Because like, is that weird that I think that's weird? That's weird. But okay, the biggest thing is the whole Gorou Yaimiko Miss Hina thing. If you don't know, Gorou writes for the Yae publishing house as an advice columnist. He is unaware that Yaimiko advertises this column as advice from the beautiful Miss Hina, which is a female version of Gorou with quite the assets. And Itto, well, he's got a little bit of a crush on her, if I am so bold to say. Why do I think Itto has a crush on Miss Hina? He has a voice line about her specifically, where he said he was lost until he wrote to her, and now he feels saved and is no longer a lost soul. He also is very excited and anxious to meet up with her for her meet and greet, and he is counting down the days until that happens. In the almighty Arataki Great and Glorious Drumalong Festival, had to say the whole thing, he literally rented a Miss Hina standee to be amongst his decorations. The text, when you click on it to observe it, says, "Goodness knows why it's here now." On the bulletin board, Aratani wrote how she initially wasn't going to let the gang rent the standee because it's just kind of like weird, but they offered a lot of money, so she gave in. When she arrived and saw how baroque the festival was, she was moved because she realized that they spent most of their savings on renting the standee, and said in this bulletin post, "Surely this is true love." This is the biggest hint of any, honestly, referring to the feelings he most definitely has for Miss Hina. Itto also wrote to her when he got his vision, asking how best to take care of it and how to make it shine. Sure, Itto hasn't stated outright his romantic crush with Miss Hina, but I mean, hey, don't play dumb with me. Okay, so the whole thought process behind this, okay? Listen, walk with me, all right? The whole falling in love via writing, thinking the writer is one person, but really it's their friend doing all the writing for them, is a pretty famous trope. Cyrano de Bergerac is a famous play by playwright Edmond Rostand, written in 1897. It details the life of a very talented poet who is in love with his distant cousin Roxanne. Yikes. He has a really big nose, so he thinks that she will never fall in love with him. Definitely not the fact that they are, like, related. That's not the issue, apparently. It's his nose. I digress. Anyways, she is in love with this guy named Christian, who is too wuss to talk to her. So Cyrano writes romantic letters to Roxanne, pretending to be Christian. It's also a 2021 movie with Peter Dinklage, which I really want to see, and is used as a trope in romance stories often. I only bring it up because Cyrano, to my knowledge, is the most famous, or at least eldest, example of this trope in action, and really encapsulates the Itto and Miss Hina / Gorou situation. Itto is writing to who he thinks is this gorgeous busty woman and is, you know, getting a little bit of a crush. But this whole time, it's been a dude. Gorou. So it's very much Roxanne sharing letters with Cyrano thinking it's Christian the whole time. It's very much that. And the two of them were actually seen talking about fishing during the Akitsu Kimodameshi event, and as they were talking, Itto mentions writing to the column about a huge ass fish he caught. Gorou said, "Oh, that's weird. I write for a column, and someone wrote to me about a huge ass fish." Traveler and Paimon panic, thinking Itto's gonna put two and two together, but thank God for himbos, because he suddenly came to the conclusion that, oh, that means someone else is really good at fishing. I have to beat them. I love you, Itto. Never get smarter. The fact that they showed Paimon and Traveler panicking, which, like, to be honest, it really isn't that big of a deal if Itto were to find out, honestly. It really isn't. But it kind of hints something to me, at least, that, oh, it would be a big deal if Itto found out if he had a crush on Miss Hina and then found out he had a crush on a guy this whole time. It's playing with the Cyrano trope with two dudes, and that's queer and weird and strange, and they put it in and drew so much attention to connect the two of them together like this. Okay, bye. This is real. That's queer coding. Seems like it to me, but what do I know? That just weird to me. So that's why they are in this video, and I had to talk about it because not normal. I know what you are, and it's not normal. Okay, so I wanted to rapid fire these a bit because I'm sorry, but I did not find enough queer coding evidence in these three to put them as their own spot. I know, I'm sorry, but wait, listen to me. Hey, hands off the keyboard. Hold on, 1 second, let me talk. That doesn't make them any less valid as fandom ships. I want to remind the audience, please, that this series is about looking at things that I think are purposely being queer-coded and celebrating queer-coded representation in this game. It is not about whose ship has more evidence and who is more valid in the long run. Because hey, look at me. Shipping in its purest form is about picking two characters that have never met and putting them in a box and shaking them together and shipping them. That's what shipping's all about, okay? It's the Jack Frost times Elsa ships of the world, okay? It's about engaging with your favorite types of media and thinking, these Blorbos, they ought to kiss. I don't really want to hear it, okay? Shipping is about having fun. And if you aren't having fun, then what the heck are you doing, okay? What are you doing? Anyways, I had to make that clear before I continue. And again, I'm not saying any way about them. I am just saying I didn't find a whole ton of evidence for them to have their own official spots for me to say I think they're being purposely coded. But it did feel a disservice to not at least address them. So let's get talking about them. And please let me know in the comments if there is more that I missed. If there are actual instances that you also think are being queer coded, let me know. But I still wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on these three. A lot of the rats asked me to talk about Clorivia or Clorinde and Navia, and I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. I love Navia and Clorinde together so much. Okay, I have to stop myself from getting up and like going apeshit right now. Like I want to start shaking my chair. Like I love them so much. I don't even want to talk about it. I can't even listen to Mitsuki without being like, oh my god, this is Clorinde singing to Navia right now. I'm gonna explode. So I love Clorinde and Navia, but alas, I did not find enough evidence to make them a whole section. I heard about Clorinde's bi-coding off of a historical French woman, though I am not 100% sure on that. And also the woman she wasn't the greatest. So let's just put a pin in that, okay? But what we do know is that they were childhood friends, played D&D together, like hot girls do, and they also have a difficult, tumultuous relationship with Clorinde, killing Navia's dad and all. So it's kind of a hiccup, I'd say. And it makes the ship so angsty, so good. My blood pressure, why am I talking about them then? Well, the real thing that made me go, huh, was the line about sharing lipstick, where Navia compliments Clorinde's lipstick and Clorinde offers her to try it, thinking it would suit her. Hey, wake up, huh?
Want to give it a try? I think the color would suit you too.
Huh? Am I just gay? Is it just me? I don't know, but if someone compliments my jeans or my lipstick, hey, what are we talking about? Hi. Also at some point, Clorinde mentions having dinner with Navia again, just like old times. And then she clears her throat and goes, anyways. This moment, I was like, why? Why is this being drawn attention to? It totally could be her reminiscing about their old D&D days, or a secret second thing. Also, just found this out, the weapons they use in a cutscene together, White Blind and Iron Sting, tell the story of lovers that were separated by distance. It's a little weird the weapons they both use have a love backstory to them. That's definitely something too. I think they will be girlfriends. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, that's all. Do I think they are being purposely queer-coded? I'll be real, I'm not 100% sure. I can't make up my mind, I'm not 100% sure, so they are in this category of to be determined. Ayato and Thoma, or tomato for those with taste, are just like weird. They don't have a whole ton of queer coding, thus why they are here. But I will say Thoma's vision story, where he was given a chance to either leave the Kamisatos due to the dangerous social climate they were in, or to stay, he wanted to stay with Ayato so bad that he got a vision. Sorry. Thoma got a vision for just being violently gay. Is that just me? Audience, is it just me? Isn't that just a wee bit silly? Pantalone, for example, has become one of the richest people in all of Teyvat, and he doesn't have jack shit. He doesn't have a vision. But Thoma, on the other hand, was like, Ayato, I want to stay by your side. And then Celestia was like, okay, we fucking hear you in your ambition. Relax. You're at a 10, I need you at a 4, okay? And then just gave him a vision. That's just funny to me. I just find that humorous. Could be totally nothing, but I had to mention it. Also, Thoma is being constantly described as being loyal. Again, how he got his vision, right? Ayato even mentions Thoma's loyalty in his voice line about him. And then Ayato's whole line on why he likes dogs is because, quote, loyalty is an attractive quality to him. Attractive? Ew, what is that supposed to mean? Ew. Do with that what you will. It's just a little bit weird. And again, the two of them are doing the whole bluish, purplish, white versus the black red thing. So food for thought, okay? Those are the meatiest examples to me personally on any possible queer coding. Do I think they are being coded purposely? Again, I'm not 100% sure. That is why they are here. Okay, So, Zhongchi, Chile, whatever you may call it, Zhongli and Childe, you guys definitely asked a lot about it, and I did mention talking about it in the first video because, hey, I love this ship, okay? There's just something about it. I just love it. So I wanted to say something about it. The symbolism that they have for the other is just, in my opinion, like really sweet. I am always a sucker for immortal and mortal ships, and this one just hits right. Childe teaches Zhongli about the fiery nature of one whose time is limited, and Zhongli reminds Childe to love the little moments in the everyday, to enjoy the tiniest things, for they make up the entirety of one's whole life. I just think it's beautiful. They both remind the other that life is worth living. But that's just like my headcanon, so that's why I like them. That being said, I looked really hard for a ton of queer coding evidence and couldn't find a lot, so that's why they are here in this category. The brunt of most of any potential coding is that they are featured a lot together. In promotional events, they are around the other constantly. In an ad, they are together. People call it the Zhongchi ad, and Childe is in one of Zhongli's promo videos, which is definitely something to note. But then we get to the elephant in the room, the chopsticks. If you guys do not know about the infamous chopstick incident, in Zhongli's teaser, we see him buying and gifting a pair of chopsticks to give to Childe for him to practice with while in liyue. It is a very common rumor online with the fandom that the act of giving someone chopsticks is a marriage proposal, but Zhongchi Nation, after some research, I could not find anything to suggest that specifically. In a lot of my sources, which, you know, varied from source to source, but pretty much the basis is the whole marriage thing. Usually in traditional Chinese weddings, it is a typical gift for the guests to give 2 pairs of chopsticks to the newlywed couple. So gifting chopsticks as a wedding present is a thing, but the gifting of 1 pair of chopsticks to an individual outside of a wedding setting actually has like a myriad of meanings, and it does not mean a marriage proposal. It could be seen as a sign of goodwill between business partners, or to showcase a wish for prosperity between 2 people. Giving chopsticks to your foreign friend can mean that the giver wishes for a long and lovely friendship with this foreign friend. It could also be a romantic gesture when given to someone you love absolutely. So the meaning behind giving chopsticks differs depending on your relationship with that person. So we can't really say that it was done romantically since, well, we don't really know the extent of Childe and Zhongli's relationship. So at the end of the day, no, it is not a wedding proposal. But hold on, stay with me, off the keyboard, don't worry. Hey, Zhongchi Nation, I'm not gonna leave you in the dust, okay? Hold on. As I mentioned with my analysis with Chongyun and Xingqiu, the dragon and the phoenix in Chinese tradition does have a lot of weight to them being pictured together. The chopsticks that Zhongli gives Childe do have a dragon and phoenix on them. Picturing the 2 of these together does imply romance, as they are a pair. It can also mean the balance of the 2 sides of the same coin, yin and yang, royalty, harmony, all that stuff. There are romantic connotations as well as unromantic. I saw it as heavily romantic for the excessive amount of dragon and phoenix symbolism with Chongyun and Xingqiu, but again, with this certain instance with just chopsticks, I am unsure of that instance with Zhongli and Childe. They do mirror each other sometimes, where they both have similar rings, but as my friend pointed out, which I also happen to agree with, we both think that Hoyoverse kind of did an oopsies and accidentally implied a little something, and then saw them become so freaking popular, so then they started to feature the 2 of them a whole lot, kind of in a, yeah, we wanted these 2 dudes to be together the whole time. That definitely wasn't an accident. That is at least my opinion and my take again, so don't be mad at me. Zhongchi Nation, I am one of you. I am on the front lines. I am fighting for Zhongchi rights every day. I couldn't make up my mind for an official spot for them in this queer coding lineup, so they are here. If there is anything else that I have missed that you think is blaringly being queer coded, please let me know. I've searched everywhere I could not find anything, but of course I'm only human, so I could have totally missed like a whole expose thread that I just could not find. So if there is something being like blatantly queer coded with Zhongli and Childe, or for any of the pairs that I just talked about, please let me know in the comments, but be nice about it. Hey, please be nice about it. But yes, please do that. And with that, the final installment of Genshin Impact's queer coding comes to an end. I tried to address everything to the best of my ability that I believe to be intentional and not something that we are all collectively hallucinating. I hope this series has been a nice celebration of queer coding. So, if you see yourself in any of these characters or find comfort in a possible vibe and you felt validated with this series, then my work here is done. If some of these are yaoi bait or yuri bait, then to be honest, I don't really care. The fact is that the queer coding is there, and for a lot of these examples, the hinting and coding is done with a lot of care and love, deep lore and joy. There is a lot of cultural significance and historical references to dig into, and it's so thorough, and I just think it's like the coolest thing ever. People say they bait for money, kind of not the point. The fact is they still exist no matter the intentions, and that's still a win for us gays in the end. So again, I really hope you enjoyed this queer coding series. In the far future, when more regions get dropped and there are more characters or more instances of queer coding, if that happens, then you may see another installment of this series. Until then, for now, we are closing the book in a very joyous way. So if you liked the video, please make sure to like it, and also please subscribe to see even more hot takes on your favorite characters. Again, I'm E if you don't know me, and I make Genshin discussion videos as well as overall fandom discourse, so stay tuned for more of that. If you want to watch the first 2 parts of the queer coding series, the links are in the description as well as right here in the eye icon. Also, if you're interested on my take on the modern landscape of fandom, then watch the media literacy video. It is a hoot and a holler and one of my favorite videos I have made. If you want to hang out and connect some more for some live streaming shenanigans, join us here on twitch.tv/ESocial. I go live Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 7 p.m. EST. Also, follow my socials. We have a whole lot of time over there, so we could, hang out some more. Okay. Well, that's all from me. If I don't see you on Twitch, then I shall see you in the next one. Bye! Bye, bye, bye! So now that the series is done, you're not allowed to be queer anymore. So, if you don't mind me. No more gay.